Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Stream Dialogue. Last week, we did a episode of Less Reason. You can find it on my YouTube channel. It's about close to 30 minutes long. Um, Posted some clips on TikTok and had some interesting comments. You know, we spoke about the real winners of the Jamaican election are actually the ruling class. It's it's almost 30 minutes video long. We also mentioned that the true losers, as in every election, it's always the people. So the people versus the ruling class. But we had some interesting comments. Some of them were, on TikTok especially. I think a lot of people misunderstands what we're trying to do. People just see a small clip, they react to it. So if this is your first time coming across this channel, we normally post like short clips of our longer video on YouTube. So Let's Reason is a episode, it's a show where that's what we do. We reason. We talk about issues. So I want you to read this comment on the screen. Interesting, isn't it? you know, Comments like this are very interesting. You can see that the ruling class, the elites in our countries, those who control our economies and so forth, always convince the masses to either accept their position or, you know, believe that the poverty that we find ourselves in, especially since independence, is due to, you know, our lack of, you know, ability, I would say. But this person mentioned a few successful Jamaicans, which is good, and we applaud those Jamaicans who are successful. But this is not the majority. Most of these people she mentioned are either through entertainment, sports, entertainment, and of course the majority of people, working, working class people, the working poor, the poor, won't be athletes. They won't be entertainers. They won't be, actors and so forth. So, in the Western sense, in the Western view, they've convinced us that a few small, small, a small group of people, a handful of people to be successful rather than collective prosperity. And the ruling class always gives, a small group of people success. We're not saying that in Jamaica there aren't people who were at the bottom find themselves at a certain position where they can consider themselves be successful, especially financially. And that is not the case. But what we are looking for, what we are pushing for these grassroots movement is for the majority of people to be prosperous, to have a decent life, better health care, food, access to food, prosperity in life, the basic needs of people, not to struggle every day. You know, work when we talk about working class people, we're talking like the teachers, traders, people who sell in the market to be should be able to make a decent life. They should be able to, you know, afford good education, good health care, maybe not even paid for health care at some point, free health care and so forth. And also ch- people who are graduating school, let's start from high school. There are kids who graduated from high school. Can they afford to, go to the next level of their education? Will that education lead them to a path of prosperity? These are the things we are pushing for, not, somebody, a few people who fall through the cracks or, through their talents. Let's say that through their talent of, like Usain Bolt, as she mentioned, well, I don't know who this person is, but thank them for their comment. But as Usain Bolt, who He's pretty successful at his craft, and it allow him to enjoy a lot of material success or wealth. But that won't be the majority of people. What we are calling for a collective prosperity of the people. So during Let's Reason, we spoke about the control of industries by a few families, and this comment this person, but this is not directed to this person. I don't know who they are or whatever. That's neither here or there. But one of the things they mention is that they don't care about the 6 or 10 families that control Jamaica. But if people around the world, if revolutionaries around the world, people who have, you know, overthrown, the status quo, have said that, the world would look, there wouldn't be, let's say China. If China did that to push the West out of their country, like a Western, imperialists out of their country, then China wouldn't be where it is. China, China is live hundreds of millions of people out of poverty. So this is what we want. We want the people, not just of Jamaica, but throughout the world, working class people, the working poor, the poor, to, you know, not live a life of poverty and all that stuff. So I think people like this, and this is one of the things that the elites, the oligarchs have always done. They always try to point to a few successful people who comes from the working class or the working poor, to say, oh, you know, you should be grateful for that. You shouldn't demand more. So we won't accept that. So majority of people, of course, in Jamaica, you will see they will be entrepreneurs, because there are no industries, big industries where the people will go into. Example, farmers. Can farmers brag about the 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 success of Usain Bolt, Shelly and Fraser, Jimmy Cliff, who was a singer? No. What we want is for the people to control the mode of production, and their labor and their resources should benefit them. If you get what I'm saying. So another thing is that, can the poor compete with the elite? This person said they don't care about the few families that control the industries. I mean, can a small farmer compete with the McConnells? No, they can't, because these people control huge capitals that they have amassed for decades upon decades. They will always, outcompete the people. So we are looking for policies where the small farmer can benefit and have access to the market of Jamaica, or markets outside, if Jamaica decide to export to other countries. So these are the things we're talking about. And those who control the import, can farmers compete with those who control the imports of agricultural food products? The answer is no. There's a great documentary called Debt, DEBT, where it shows how Jamaican farmers who produce milk and so forth, were undermined by cheaper imported milk products from the United States and other places. So, ladies and gentlemen, what this is a typical case of the elite is standing over the people. They've decided to relieve themselves to pee on the heads of the people, and the elites themselves, some bribe bourgeoisie, or people who have been convinced, poor people, working people, who have been convinced by the elites, or trying to convince the people what is falling on their head is not necessarily pee, but it's rain. It's raining. even though the sky is clear. So what we're pushing for is for not is for the people to see themselves as ally. It's you versus the elites, not you versus your brother and your sister. So we are pushing for a grassroots class movement, not even class movement, but a grassroots movement where the people can take control of the mode of production, uh, where they can benefit from the resources that Jamaica have, whatever it is, whether it's tourism, agricultural product, land, whatever it is. The system will not allow the popular masses to thrive. That's the whole point. I give you something. Whenever there's a need to raise taxes, the question is who benefits, who does it affect the most? Of course, it's the working class people. Those big elites will not pay the amount of taxes. The tax code does not benefit the small person, like the small shop owner, the small business owner. It normally benefit the elites. They would rather tax the majority of the masses, the poor masses, than tax the elite. So, ladies and gentlemen, we will not, and this is how you know you've hit the nerve, because these people are pushing rhetoric, or they're pushing the rhetoric that the ruling class have used for decades, well, in the rest of the world for centuries, to convince working people not to unite, not to view the ruling class as the enemy, to get out, and during this time in this economic apartheid, system. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. Find us on YouTube, Stream Dialogue, and subscribe. We welcome your opinion, but we are for the people. We don't care what you are. Working class people should unite, because at the end of the day, when it all said and done, we're the ones that are in this predicament of generational poverty, generational suffering. So thank you so much for joining us.